The Knock in the Cold, 800 words. HFY sci-fi third person. Simple English. The wind screamed across the frozen land. Snow blew like sand, and nothing moved outside. The world had been quiet for weeks. Inside a small bunker, a man named Jack sat near a heater. He wore thick clothes and held a half-empty metal cup of soup. His eyes were tired. His hands were rough from cold and work. He was alone. He had been alone since the war ended. The aliens came, destroyed the cities, and vanished again. Jack had survived by hiding in this underground bunker deep in the frozen wastelands, far from any signal or help. Then it happened. Knock. Knock. Jack froze. It was soft, faint, but clear. 2 knocks, slow, careful, then silence. He stood up quickly and grabbed his weapon, a black plasma rifle, cold from storage. His heart beat faster. No one should be here. No one alive. At least. He moved to the door. It was thick steel, reinforced. He touched the control panel and looked through the small camera feed. At first, he saw nothing. Then a figure, small, covered in white fur, barely standing. Her arms hung by her sides, shaking. Her head was down. She looked like an animal at first. But then she looked up. A face. A girl. Not fully human. Her eyes were glowing softly. Blue. Her ears pointed like a wolf's. She had claws and a long tail that dragged behind her in the snow. She looked at the camera. Again. Then she collapsed. Jack hesitated for only 1 second. Then he slammed the unlock button and rushed outside. The cold hit him like a wall. He pushed forward through the snow, reached her, and dropped to his knees. Her body was light, almost weightless. Her fur was soaked and frozen. She was burning hot and freezing cold at the same time. Her lips moved. No sound came. He picked her up and carried her back into the bunker. Inside, the heat wrapped around them like a blanket. Jack laid her down on a sleeping mat and checked her quickly. No wounds, just weak and hungry. She was breathing fast. He removed his coat and draped it over her. Then he opened a can of soup and warmed it fast. The smell filled the air. Her nose twitched. She opened her eyes. They glowed again, soft blue in the warm bunker light. Jack held out the bowl. Eat. She didn't move at first. Then, slowly, she sat up, trembling. She took the bowl with both hands, sniffed it, and began to drink. Fast. She didn't stop until it was gone. Jack opened another can and gave it to her. She ate slower this time, her breathing calming. She looked at him now, really looked. Jack sat back, his rifle still nearby, but not raised. He asked softly, "Can you speak?" She blinked. No answer. She pointed to her chest. "Ka-la." "Kala?" he said. She nodded weakly. Jack nodded back. "I'm Jack." For a long time, they sat in silence. The storm outside grew louder, but the bunker stayed warm. She didn't speak more, but she watched everything. Her ears moved at every sound. Her eyes studied the room. She saw the weapons, the food, the maps. She wasn't just a creature. She was smart. When she finished eating, she curled up on the mat, her tail wrapping around her like a blanket. She closed her eyes. Jack stayed awake, sitting across the room, watching. He didn't know what she was, where she came from, if she was a friend or a threat. But one thing was sure. She hadn't come to fight. She had come because she had nowhere else to go. And something about that made Jack feel something strange. Hope. The hunger in her eyes, approximately 800 words. HFY sci-fi, third person, simple English. The storm didn't stop for 2 days. Inside the bunker, Jack kept the heaters running low to save power. He watched the girl Kala as she slept. Her breathing was soft, but her body sometimes twitched like she was dreaming. or remembering something bad. Jack didn't sleep much. He COULDN, single quotes D. There was a strange alien inside his bunker. And yet, she looked peaceful now. Not dangerous. When she finally opened her eyes again, she sat up slowly. Her long white hair fell across her face. Jack moved closer with another warm bowl of soup. This time, she took it gently. Her hands shook, but she didn't attack. She looked at him, then at the food, then back again. Her lips moved, but no words came. Jack spoke softly. "You're safe now." She tilted her head. Then she pointed to the empty can and said, "More." He blinked. She had learned that word. Yeah, more. He smiled and handed her a protein bar. She opened it with her claws like it was nothing. Jack leaned back. "You're stronger than you look." Kala chewed slowly. Then her glowing eyes locked with his. "Hun, Gry," she said. He nodded. "I can see that." Then suddenly she stood up. Her legs wobbled, but she stayed on her feet. She looked around the bunker at the shells, the food, the lights, the tech. Her nose twitched. She walked toward a power cell lying on a shelf. "Stop," Jack said. "That's not food." But she didn't touch it. She just looked. Then she turned and pointed at the solar power cables, and then at the backup battery. Jack stared. "You know how that works?" he asked. Kala nodded once. "You're not just hungry," Jack whispered. "You're trained." She looked at him again. Her expression was hard to read, but something in her eyes changed. Not fear, not weakness. Awareness. Later that night, Jack checked the outside camera. The storm had started to clear, but the cold was still brutal. Nothing moved outside, just white. He turned back toward Kala. She sat near the heater, wrapping her arms around herself. Jack tossed her another blanket. "Do you come from a ship?" he asked. "From the sky?" Kala closed her eyes. He tried again. "Are others coming?" She slowly opened her eyes again. She picked up a piece of charcoal from the fire tray and crawled to the floor. Then she began to draw. A triangle. A dot. A large circle. Jack stared. "That's a planet? A ship?" She nodded. Then she drew a second shape, a pack. 5 tall shapes with claws, red marks over them. Then she pointed at herself. "They chased you?" Jack asked. Kala didn't reply, but she pulled up her sleeve. Scars. Deep. Fresh. Jack's heart tightened. Whoever these creatures were, they had hurt her. "Badly," he whispered. "You escaped." Kala nodded slowly. Then she looked at him and said the clearest word yet, "Hide." Jack's blood turned cold. "Are they looking for you?" She pointed at the door. Then at herself. Then at Jack. She was warning him. They were not safe. That night, Jack stayed awake again. He reinforced the bunker's outer hatch, locked the emergency seal, checked every camera twice. Kala didn't sleep either. She sat near the door, her ears twitching at every sound. They were both survivors, both cold, both alone. But now they weren't alone anymore. They had each other. Jack handed her one of his backup jackets. It was too big for her, but she wore it anyway. She gave him a look, not quite a smile, but not far from one either. For the first time in a long time, Jack felt something strange. Not just fear, not just caution. Trust, not the language of survival. Approximately 800 words. HFY sci-fi, third person, simple English. The wind outside had stopped, but the danger had not. Inside the bunker, Jack sat across from Kala. The alien girl watched the flames in the small heater, her ears slowly moving at every crackling sound. Her tail rested on the floor like a sleeping animal. But her eyes, those glowing blue eyes, were sharp. She was learning, faster than Jack expected. Every word he spoke, she listened. Every tool he used, she watched closely. When he adjusted the solar battery connection, she pointed out a burnt wire. Jack stared at her in surprise. "You saw that?" Kala nodded. And she reached into the toolbox without asking and handed him a new wire. Jack raised an eyebrow. "Who taught you all this?" She didn't answer with words. Instead, she picked up a small plate, placed a few pebbles on it, and started arranging them in patterns, lines, circles, triangles. Maps? Jack guessed. Kala shook her head. She drew a spiral on the floor, using her claw, then tapped the center, and then pointed up at the ceiling. Space? She nodded. Then she made a swooping motion with her hand and mimicked something crashing into the ground. Jack sat forward. "Your ship crashed?" She nodded again. Jack's face grew serious. "And the others? They're still out there?" Kala's expression changed. She didn't look scared. She looked angry. Later that day, Kala stood near the food storage shelf, studying a container. She tried to open it, but struggled with the latch. Jack came over, clicked it open, and handed her a sealed pack of dried protein. "You've seen these before?" he asked. Kala nodded. Double quotes, "Where?" Jack pressed. She paused, then pointed at her own chest again and said a new word. "Base." Jack leaned in. "A base? You came from a base." She nodded once, then looked down. Her claw scratched the steel floor slowly, almost like she was remembering something painful. Jack sat beside her. "Were you alone there?" Kala looked up. Her lips moved. She tried again. "Test? Test?" Jack frowned. "You were tested?" She gave a single slow nod. And then she said a full sentence, broken but clear. "Not make for life. Make for fight." Jack's heart sank. She wasn't born. She was created. That night, Jack couldn't sleep again. He sat near the camera feed, watching the cold wasteland outside. Kala was curled on the mat, half asleep. But then she spoke soft, almost like a whisper. "Jack." He turned. She was looking at him with tired eyes. "You? Fix me?" He blinked. "Fix?" She touched the side of her head. "Dreams. Bad. Fire. Run. Pain." Jack walked closer and sat beside her. "I can't fix your mind, Kala," he said gently. "But I can keep you safe." She looked at him. Then she touched her chest. "Safe is new." He didn't know what to say. So he simply nodded. "You're safe now." The next morning, Jack was fixing an antenna outside when he heard soft footsteps behind him. Kala had followed him. She stood barefoot in the snow without fear. Her body seemed resistant to the cold. Her eyes scanned the mountains far beyond. She pointed. "Sky bad." Jack looked up. "You mean something's coming?" Kala didn't speak. She just turned back toward the bunker and drew her claw across her throat. A warning. Inside. Jack began preparing supplies, charging weapons, sealing backup doors. He turned to Kala. "If something comes, can you fight?" Kala didn't answer. Instead, her spine shifted slightly. Her tail bristled. Her claws extended. Her teeth grew longer just for a second. Jack took a step back. Stunned. Then, as quickly as it came, the change vanished. She looked like a girl again. Jack whispered, "What are you?" Kala stared at him and answered with one word. "Survivor." Howl in the Night. Approximately 800 words. HFY sci-fi. Third person, simple English. Night came again. But this night was not calm. Jack woke up to a sound. Not a knock. Not a voice. A howl. Long. Deep. Not human. It echoed across the frozen land like a scream from another world. Jack sat up fast. The bunker walls didn't shake, but his chest did. Rushed to the camera feed. Snow blew hard outside, but through the blur, he saw something shadows. Moving. Fast. Four-legged. Large. Not alone. He looked over at Kala. Dot. She was already awake. Dot standing. Dot still. Dot her eyes were glowing bright blue. And her claws were out. Her body was tight, ready. But her face was full of fear. You know that sound? Jack asked. Kala didn't answer. She just whispered, They find. Jack sealed the inner door and activated the outside defense system. There's more of them? He asked. Kala nodded once. She walked to the table, picked up Jack's map, and pointed to a mountain nearby. Then she dragged her claw slowly down the paper. From there, she nodded again. Jack stared at the camera feed. But why now? Kala touched her neck, then pointed at the wall at the signal tower. They tracked you? She nodded again, slower this time. He cursed under his breath. I should have turned it off sooner. She looked at him, her voice soft. My fault. Jack looked at her. No, you're not the problem. Outside, another howl rang out. Closer. Jack grabbed his rifle, loaded it, powered the defense turret. Then he reached into a locked case and pulled out a small red grenade. Last resort. He looked at Kala. If they break in, we run. Kala didn't move. She walked to the door and placed her hand on the steel. Not run, she said. We fight. Then something changed in her. Her back straightened. Her arms shifted. Her face began to change, her jaw slightly longer, her skin harder, her tail now glowing at the tip. Jack took a step back. Her full beast form was waking up. You sure about this? He asked. Kala turned to him. Fight for whom? It wasn't just about survival anymore. She was choosing this place. Choosing him. The first impact came like thunder. Boom. The door shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Jack raised his rifle. Kala growled low. A shadow moved past the outside, camouflage, four-legged, glowing red eyes. Jack whispered, It's like a wild pack. Kala corrected him. Hunters. The second impact cracked the outer lock. Jack checked the defenses. If the generator dies, we're trapped. Kala stepped forward. I go. What? You stay? You safe? No way, Jack said. You think I'd let you go out alone? She gave him a strange look, half smile, half sadness. Last time, I run. No more run. She reached out and placed her clawed hand on his shoulder. Now, I protect. Jack loaded the turret and opened the hatch. The cold rushed in. Kala leaped into the snow, faster than he'd ever seen her move. Her body shifted, fully, muscles tighter, tail glowing, claws shining under the moonlight. Jack watched through the scope. Two beasts rushed her from both sides. She didn't run. She met them head on. Claws clashed. Snow exploded. One scream. Then silence. Jack's heart raced. Another beast lunged from behind. Kala spun, slashed, and flipped it into the air. She was a blur. A storm. Not a girl anymore. A warrior. Minutes passed. Then silence again. Kala stood at the door, blood on her arms, not hers. She walked back in, breathing hard. They go, she said. For now. Jack looked at her, stunned. You fought them all? She nodded slowly. Then she looked down. I changed too much? Jack shook his head. You changed just enough. She sat beside the heater again, tired but calm. Jack sat beside her. Outside, the snow fell quietly once more. But something inside the bunker had changed. They weren't strangers now. They were survivors. Together. The fight for the bunker. Approximately 800 words. HFY sci-fi, third person. Simple English. The sun didn't rise the next morning. Thick clouds covered the sky. The land was darker than usual. Jack stood on top of the bunker, snow crunching under his boots, scanning the frozen horizon. No movement. No sound. But he could feel it. Something was coming. Inside, Kala checked the power levels and locked the inner rooms. She moved differently now, not just like a survivor, but like someone ready for war. She picked up the emergency rifle Jack had given her. It looked small in her strong hands. Her claws slid in and out as she flexed them. Jack climbed down and met her near the main hatch. "They're not done," he said. Kala nodded. "Pack, never stop." He looked at her. "Why do they want you?" She looked down for a moment. Then, slowly, she spoke. "I was like them. Made to hunt, but I woke up." Jack's eyes narrowed. "You escaped." She nodded. "They want me back, or dead." Jack checked the weapons. 2 plasma rifles, a turret, 3 grenades, and an old electric trap they hadn't tested yet. "Let's make this bunker the last place they'll ever visit," he said. Kala didn't smile, but her eyes burned brighter. Then just after noon, the storm returned, but not natural this time. A low hum in the air, vibration under their feet. Then, boom! The outer perimeter mine exploded. Jack turned to the monitor. 3 shapes, big, fast. One of them wasn't running. It was flying. "How the hell?" Kala growled. "Mutated? Smart." Jack activated the turret. Boom. 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 One creature was hit. Fell back. The other 2 kept coming. Closer. Closer. Jack raised his rifle. Hold. The wall lights flickered. Then dash darkness. They hit the generator. He shouted. Kala didn't wait. She shifted her legs thicker, her muscles sharper, tail glowing white. She looked at him and whispered, "Stay alive." Then she opened the hatch and leapt into the dark. Outside, the storm was worse. Snow flew sideways, moved like a blur through it, silent, fast, deadly. One beast lunged at her. She rolled under it and slashed. Its leg. Another charged from the side. She caught it by the neck and snapped it. But the third, the flying one, dove from above and struck her hard. She hit the snow with a growl. Inside the bunker, Jack heard the impact. No. He grabbed the grenade, kicked open the hatch, and ran into the storm. He saw them 3 shadows. Kala fighting. 2. The third aiming at her from the sky. He didn't think. He threw the grenade. Boom. Light exploded. The flying creature fell, burning. Kala stood, panting, blood dripping from her arms, but alive. They ran back into the bunker together. Jack slammed. The door shut and relocked the inner systems using manual control. Breathing hard, he turned to her. "You okay?" Kala nodded. "Little hurt, not dead." He laughed once. "Same here." Later, Jack cleaned her wounds. Kala didn't flinch. "You could have run," he said. "You too," she answered. "But we didn't." They sat in silence, both tired. Then Kala looked at him seriously. "I protect, not because order. Because you." Jack felt something stir in his chest. This wasn't just survival anymore. This was a bond. As the bunker lights flickered back on, powered by emergency battery. Jack whispered, "Next time they come, we end it." Kala nodded. Together. The bond that saved them. Approximately 800 words. HFY sci-fi. 3rd person. Simple English. Days passed. The cold never left. But the air was quiet again. No howls. No attacks. Jack and Kala used a con to fix what they could. The power was low. The food was running out. But something else had grown stronger. Trust. Inside the bunker, Jack worked on the radio. His fingers were numb, but he kept soldering the wires. He wanted to send a message, a signal. Not for help, but for a warning. The world wasn't empty anymore. Kala walked in, wrapped in a blanket. Her eyes were tired, but soft. She sat beside him, watching quietly. You think someone will hear? She asked slowly. Jack looked up. You speak better now. Kala gave a small smile. I listen a lot. Jack returned the smile. Maybe someone will answer. Maybe not, but at least they'll know we're alive. She paused, then whispered, We. Jack looked at her again. Yes, we. That night, Kala finally spoke of her past. I was made. Not born, she said. A lab. Cold walls. Tests. Pain. Jack listened without interrupting. They gave us names. Numbers. Not family. What were you supposed to be? He asked. Weapon. Hunter. Tool. She looked at him. But I ran. I wanted more. I didn't know what until now. Jack leaned closer. And now? She pointed to the bunker walls. This is home. Suddenly, the radio sparked. Click. Buzz. A voice. Hello? Receiving unknown signal. Identify. Jack froze. He grabbed the mic. This is Jack Mason. Civilian. Survivor. Not alone. We have threats out here, enhanced alien creatures. Be advised. Silence. Then. Copy that. We're sending coordinates to your position. Hang tight. Help is coming. He dropped the mic and looked at Kala. She stood slowly. Eyes wide. Tail still. More. People? She asked. Yes, Jack said. But not all people are good. Kala didn't smile. Then we stay ready. 2 days later, the dropship came. It hovered like thunder, casting shadows across the frozen earth. A squad stepped out, heavily armored soldiers, visors shining. Jack opened the outer hatch. The commander stepped forward. We got your signal. His. Eyes moved to Kala. What is that? Jack's voice was firm. She's not that. She's with me. Kala stood tall, but quiet. Her claws retracted, her tail still. She's not dangerous, Jack said. She saved my life. The commander paused. She looks like one of the rogue bioweapons. She was, Jack said. Now she's something else. They scanned. Kala took samples. Asked questions. Kala answered all of them. In her new voice. Her own voice. At the end, the commander said, She's not listed in any known database. Jack said, That's good. It means she's free. The commander gave one last look, then nodded. We're setting up a new outpost here. You too. You'll be safe. If anything comes again, we'll be ready. Jack shook his hand. Kala looked at the horizon. No more running. No more hiding. That night, as the fire crackled, Kala looked at Jack. You saved me first, she said. Jack shook his head. You knocked on my door. She gave a rare smile. Best knock I ever made. They laughed softly. In the silence that followed, Jack said, You're not just a survivor, Kala. You're more than that. She leaned closer. So are you. And in that frozen land, inside that small bunker that had once held only fear and silence, something new was born. Not war. Not weapon, but bond. The kind that could survive anything, even the cold.